Welcome back to Kettle Talk. I'm joined by Stanford Outfielder Quinn Brodey, who completes the trio of Stanford Cardinal to make the appearance on Kettle Talk. And Quinn, it's been some time, but even yesterday, just being at Fenway Park for the workouts, what's that experience like? Because obviously left-handed hitter, you got Peskys Pole, but even people just dream about playing at Fenway, and you had an opportunity to work out.
Right. I mean, it's just one of the most beautiful fields out there, one of the most historic fields, and tried to wrap one around Peskys Pole, but didn't quite get it. It was blowing in a little bit, unfortunately, but yeah, just being out there was really cool. Watching all the guys hit, watching everybody run, throw, and just being on that field was incredible.
I'm not exactly sure of the measurements, but I think it's actually shorter than Yankee Stadium, Peskys Pole, but it's not exactly right out there. You have to hook it around. So how tempting is that? And, obviously you need a different swing for Fenway Park. So what was that like?
Yeah, definitely. It's I forget what it is down the line, but it goes straight out right after that. It gets steep pretty quickly, so you have to hook it pretty good down the line if you want to get it out there, or put a good charge into it to get it out in left center, right center. Obviously you have the monster in left, which is pretty tempting for a right-handed hitter, but it's cool. I mean, it's a very, very cool field.
You're a Southern California guy. I'm sure you're not used to this type of weather, but let's talk about your decision to go to Stanford. Drafted by the Nationals out of high school, choose to go to Stanford. What led into that decision?
I was a pretty strong commit out of high school. I mean, I think most people knew I was going to go to school. That was important to me and my family, definitely for me to further my education, and very hard to turn down an education like that. When that came around, it was just, for me, it was an incredible opportunity, and it's worked out really well so far. I love it there, and I'm very happy about that decision.
What's it like playing for Coach Marquez and, going to Stanford, and how convincing was he in the whole recruiting process that you eventually chose Stanford over maybe some other programs?
Right, yeah, he was great. I mean, I went up there for an unofficial visit, and we talked, and he just sold the program very well. And I mean, it's obviously it's an honor to play for a guy like him, and this will be his last year this coming year. He's announces that he will be retiring after this coming year, so to have him for his last 3 years is pretty cool, and it's been a great experience and something that, of course, I'll never forget.
So at least for you, something that maybe you might not forget, you got a flair for the dramatic. I want to get the date right. So April 17th, 2016, against Arizona, you hit the go-ahead and eventually game-winning inside the park 2-run homer. Right. I know you just put a good swing on it, but as that play is unfolding, are you thinking you can go all the way, or are you just picking up your third base coach? Can you just take us through that play?
Yeah, I mean, that was nuts. That was a good game. That was a Sunday that we definitely needed to win to avoid the sweep, and they brought in a lefty, and he threw me a first pitch slider or something like that, and I swung at it, and their right center is really deep. It's like 405 out there, and the ball bounced up off the wall. I saw it kind of get over the outfielder's head, and put my head down around second base, picked up my third base coach, and he was waving me around. I didn't think about that at all until I got basically halfway between second and third, and then he was still waving me, and I said maybe this could happen, and I got there, no play at the plate, which was great. So it was cool. It was really exciting.
And with that said, so that's your year at Stanford. Now it translates over to the summer. How do you find out that you're coming to Cotuit as opposed to another summer team?
I actually found out pretty early. I had talked with Jack Klein, who was here last year, here this year, one of my good friends and teammates at Stanford, and he had reached out to me at the end of last summer and said, hey, I had a great experience out here. I feel like this would be a good fit for you. Would you be interested? And I said, of course, absolutely. I would love to go to the Cape, and that's everyone's dream. And I was talking to my coach about it at school. I called him and said, hey, I just want to make sure it's okay that I'm entertaining this idea. And he said, oh, yeah, you're already going there. So I was like, cool, yeah, that sounds good. So I knew pretty early, which was nice.
Now, Jack's already one of the harder workers on the team, and, I'm not exactly sure if he's a rah-rah guy, but with that said, how much does maybe just looking at him as an example fuel your fire?
Yeah, I mean, I've had Jack to look up to for the past 3 years, the past 2 years, which has been great for me because we've been outfielders together, so we're doing the same drills together a lot at school. We hit together a lot, and it's definitely been just comforting for me to have him out there, and especially have this be his second time here. He knows the drill. He knows what it's like. He's just very familiar with Coach Roberts. So to have him to be there is big for me.
I know there's always an adjustment period always coming over to the Cape, and especially for you. What was that adjustment like? Because out in left field, I'm sure you were having to get used to the wooden bats, and you thought the ball would carry as much, but your defense has certainly gotten better, hitting a home run the other day, bringing in the 5 RBIs. Was there a moment where it all just clicked, or, what's that adjustment period like?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's definitely different just than the metal bats is a little bit of a difference. So just getting comfortable in the field, reading the ball, getting comfortable with the plate, some tinkering with some things at the plate, still just trying to find what exactly will work for me, and taking all the information that Coach Roberts has and all the lessons that he likes to teach, and then figuring out how to make that work for me has been a little bit of an adjustment, but it's something that I feel like now is sort of settling into place. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
And now let's just get away from the Kettleers on this one. You were a soccer player, lettered in high school at Loyola. Why choose baseball over soccer? What led into that, and what position did you play? What's your love for the game of soccer?
Right, I was a huge soccer player up until after my freshman year. I probably played soccer more competitively than I played baseball for a while, and I loved it. I mean, I love baseball, I love soccer, and then after my freshman year, baseball and soccer, I had a coach who told me, hey, either you have a chance to play college baseball, which I had never really thought of before then. He's like, you have a real shot to do it, and you should think about getting serious about it, and that kind of just led into a decision that I don't necessarily I don't regret it at all, but I would have loved to have played soccer for another couple of years. I feel like I would still be where I am, but I loved every minute of it. I played forward most of the time and a little bit of defense too, but I wasn't the most finesse player, but I could run pretty fast and kick it hard, so I did all right.
We'll go baseball and we'll go soccer. I know it's tough to pick just one, so I'll give you three. 3 inspirations for baseball, 3 inspirations for soccer.
Soccer, let's see. I honestly wasn't the biggest soccer fan in terms of watching it and following it. So, I mean, I've always loved watching Cristiano Ronaldo. I think that's an easy one. Outside of him, I had a time where I loved Wayne Rooney. I liked the cleats he wore, so I wore those for a little while. Baseball-wise, I have always loved Ken Griffey Jr., most beautiful swing in the game. Number 24. I'm number 24 at school, so that worked out pretty nicely. Another 24, Robinson Cano. And let's see, I'll choose. Actually, yesterday was pretty cool seeing David Price up close, because he was when I was still on the mound, he was one of my favorite pitchers, and to be within a couple of feet of him was really cool.
And ironically, he's 24, so I guess that fits.
24, yeah, there you go. That's the 24 trio.
Awesome. All right, that's Quinn Brodey. We'll have starting lineups coming up right after this.